Good morning. My name is Chris Fox, and I am coming to you once more, raw and uncut, as Mary is still on vacation for a few more days. So forgive me for any faux pas in the video. Those won't be edited out. You're going to get them all. Today I wanted to talk a little bit about algorithms. So this is something that we use now in everyday language as an author all the time, because you'll hear people say all the time the Amazon algorithm or the Amazon algorithms. Some people are a little more cognizant and they realize there's probably more than one of these things, but they don't necessarily know what they are. And so I want to explain what that is. And then I want to talk a little bit about what Amazon is really using, what that thing that they've built is. And it's fine that we use the word algorithm. There's no way we're going to change Authorland and get them to stop talking about it in this way. But I'd like you to at least understand what an algorithm is. And you'll see why software engineers are always a little bit amused by this. All an algorithm is a recipe. It is a solution to a stated problem. So if you have a problem and you solve it elegantly, what you'll usually do is record that solution in a way that other, in my case, software developers can then implement. In other cases, though, let's say you wanted to bake a cake, you would need a recipe, an algorithm to do that. So the algorithm would tell you, okay, step 1, preheat your oven to 450 degrees. Step 2, crack some eggs into a bowl. You see where I'm going with this. Like, it's going to walk through each of the steps of baking that cake, and that's all an algorithm is. So when we say algorithm, we're misusing it a little bit, but what we're actually dealing with is the technical term for it is a random forest classifier. And I'll break down what that is in English. A random forest classifier, it has a whole bunch of smaller classifiers inside of it. And as an example of what one of these classifiers might be, we've all used Facebook. When you see facial recognition on Facebook, when it recognizes your face, that is a classifier, a facial recognition classifier. So a random forest classifier is a whole bunch of these things all kind of interwoven in together. And so Amazon's book recommendation engine is a whole bunch, dozens and dozens of these classifiers all working together, trying to figure out who wants to see what products. And all the time they're spinning out new classifiers, they're modifying which ones do what, they're seeing how they interact, they're changing the inputs. And this is where data scientists come in. And Amazon has a division called A9. I actually have a couple of friends that work there. And A9 is their data science kind of geek division, where they've got 900, I think, employees. I could be wrong. I mean, it's been over a year since I've talked to my friend there. But they had over 900 employees at one point, and these are the people that are building these classifiers. And what I've always found interesting is somebody who is adjacent to this. So I'm not a data scientist, but I am a software engineer, and I've worked alongside data scientists and kind of watched what they did and learned from them about what their techniques were. They don't know how the computer is doing what it's doing. So what they'll do is they'll feed 1 million images in, and they'll then have, let's say, doctors classify those images. So maybe doctors are saying, okay, this is an ear infection, which is what we did, the technology I did when I worked in the industry. The doctors would say, yes, this is an ear infection and of this type. And we would feed like 1 million of those images to the computer. And by the end, the computer could tell us whether or not your ear was infected by looking at an image, but it couldn't tell us why. It couldn't say, oh, because it's red and inflamed. It could just say, yes, this definitely has one. So we're teaching computers to do things without really understanding how they're doing what they're doing. And it's a data scientist's job to figure out how a computer is doing what it's doing. It's kind of like a child in that way. And you've sort of got, the data scientist, the parent, trying to instruct it. So when we say algorithm, what we really mean is the building A9, with 900 people sitting in there typing away, trying to figure out how to build a better random forest classifier, which is really just an artificial intelligence. I believe that Facebook and Amazon will be two of the first real artificial intelligences that we see in our lifetimes. And Amazon, it's just been phenomenal the last 10 years, the growth and changes that we've seen in that industry. Anyway, guys, this was a really random video. I know it was very rambly. It had very little to do directly with writing and more to do with our industry and how Amazon sells books. But I was interested in talking about it. As a final note, I do want to mention I was in a Humble bundle. You'll see a link to that down below. And this is for National Novel Writing Month. And so many people have already purchased this, and I wanted to thank you guys for that. So for those unfamiliar how it works, you can click on the link and you see it's hosted officially by Nano. You can see this bundle and see it's a whole bunch of the books that I read when I got into the industry, and some ones that I haven't even read yet, from some pretty big name people that should help somebody who really wants to succeed at National Novel Writing Month get there. And hopefully we're giving it to you in just enough time so you guys can get those books read before you have to sit down and start writing. Anyway, if you're interested in that, the link is below. With a Humble Bundle, you can choose the price that you're paying. So there is a suggested price, but there's a slider. You can move that up or down. So again, I'll add that link into the comments, and hopefully it's useful. Anyway, guys, I do need to get back to the writing. I have a whole bunch of projects on my plate. The Arc War is the primary one that I'm working on, but I'm also getting chapters out on Dying World, and both of those need my attention. So I'm going to get back to it, and I will see you next week.